Hello. Welcome to another episode of MeatballCraft. How you guys doing? Don't mind me, I'm just hanging out in this jacuzzi that I crafted last episode. It's pretty cozy. Anyway, what we did last episode, not just the growth accelerator, we also got a little bit of a machine platform going on here. A good amount of stuff. It's not very good, I'm going to be honest. Especially this assembly table. This dude's really slow. But the focus wasn't on mass production, it was just to get progress going, right? And we're trying to get to the portal to the void. And once I have this, I'm gonna be able to set up like a really big base. And this is usually what happens for bigger mod packs where you do have the option to just, set a base in the overworld, but it can get a little bit laggy. So whenever I do play a pack like this, I like to just put it in the void world. It helps me out so much in the long run. But I'm not going to build anything too complicated, and I'm honestly thinking just building a simple ME drive. So I'm kind of going to change the plans I made last episode. I was thinking of getting two ME controllers, right? Where one of them is going to be for myself, and then the other one is going to be used to craft the portal. So this brings me to like one of the discussions I wanted to have, the pacing of the playthrough. It's very easy for me to just focus on nothing but technology, but I think I want to sidetrack that. There's so much other stuff in this mod pack that I haven't really been paying attention, I've realized. Lots of exploration I could have done. I already could have visited the furnace dimension, for example. And then there's also like a lot of different magic mods, things like that. And I was kind of thinking to myself, and I kind of want to split up the progression so that, one day I can focus more on the technology side and then maybe another day on exploration or magic and so on, right? Just to like have a fresh feel for every episode. That's just what I was thinking, and it's one of the challenges that I'm probably going to have to face with the mod pack like this being so big is how am I going to keep it interesting? Because at some point it's going to be mostly automation. And it's something I'm going to have to think about whenever we get there, right? But we still have a while before it gets to that point. But it's still something I'm thinking about. But anyways, instead of setting up a full AE2 system in the Void World, we're just going to stick to the bare basics. So something on I think you call it an ad hoc network. I think that's the name for it. But what I mean is that you can have up to 8 channels without an ME controller. And that is just enough to have a very simple setup. Just enough for like a single drive or two, filled with a couple of cells and then like a terminal, and then maybe like an import bus attached to an ender chest so I can take on my travels. But that's what I'm thinking. Just something very simple because I wanted to get into Botania. And then once I get into this, I can go back to applied energistics, expand that, and then choose another mod and so on. And I was looking through some of the recipes of the AE2 stuff. For example, the ME drive, it's not too bad. The crafting terminal itself isn't too bad either. So I can just get a really simple setup going, just enough to like be able to just cram all of my stuff here. And it might be a little tricky, but we can still get help with a transmutation table. But I wanted to get into Botania mainly because I've realized that not a lot of the stuff in the mod, not a lot of this stuff is actually gated behind anything. And Botania has some pretty good stuff. I don't know how far into it I'm going to get, but I would love to have the Ring of Odin. You become immune to suffocation, drowning, fire, lava, all of that stuff. So you're basically unkillable. But what I also wanted to do was get the Eye of Flugel, because this is flight. And I would love to have a way of creative flight. That's not the only option either, like the Angel Ring. This one looks a little bit kind of strange. I would have to go into the Between Lands for this and then get into extra utilities. And I'm not sure if I'm up for that right now. Rending Gale is another option. Yeah, we would have to get into Thaumcraft for this. But the Eye of Flugel is not gated behind too much stuff. We would just have to fight the Gaia Guardian. And that's the whole idea. So I crafted a couple of stuff off camera, mostly these quartz chipsets and the diamond chipset. So for the portal to the void, we still need some things. For example, the ME controller. And to craft this, I would like another energy acceptor, because we're going to keep that one for powering the little network that we have. So I need to make another one. And I should have everything for it already. Thank you. And then for the ME controller, I just need the Skystone block, which I don't actually have any. But we do have the meteor that we found at spawn, so let's go say hello to that. I had a little bit of news to share as well. I guess I can talk about it while we're going for the meteor. I finally invested in another microphone. I don't have it set up. It actually arrives here in a couple of days. But this might be the last video where I sound like this. Not that I sound bad at all, right? And I guess the biggest reason why I'm changing mics is because I would like to get away from the USB microphone and try to use XLR instead. I'm not going to get too technical into it because honestly, I don't fully understand it. And I don't know if I've mentioned it, but the one I'm using is the Wave 3 microphone. It's not bad, don't get me wrong. And I've been using it for quite a while. But I feel like there's still some things that I can't quite fix. And I would like to try something new. So I just ended up getting Elgato's XLR mic, which is, I believe it's called the Wave DX. It might get here before the next episode or probably afterwards, but I'll mention it again whenever I change my mic. But anyways, we do have a little bit of Skystone, which is EMCable. Cook a little bit of this, and I believe that's also EMCable. Yeah. Get a bunch of that, and I should be able to craft the ME controller now. Thank you. Pretty funny that we're not really going to use it yet. It's mainly going to be used to craft the portal to the void. This is where we're going to have to craft a little bit of stuff, and we may have to also get resources because this needs Emberstone, and I don't think I have any left. I need one of you and 4 of the display stands, which don't need Emberstone. Okay, we should be fine then. So for the Empower, I need a bunch of machine casings or iron casings, display stands, so I'm going to want 5 of these. Let's go ahead and craft 5. Aesthetic quartz and aesthetic green. I'm getting so many achievements still, it's so funny. But anyways, this stuff is EMCable, so I just need to craft 1 of each. It's a little slow. Okay, thank you. And you know what? Now that I think about it, I completely forgot about it, but there's an upgrade to this, isn't there? I think it's called the Arcane Tablet. Yeah, this one. So I should be able to just craft this. It's going to be a bunch of dark matter, regular stone, and then the table itself. And just like that, right? Yeah. Okay. And this is pretty much just the handheld version of the transmutation table. Oh, it even comes with a crafting thing. That's pretty helpful, actually. Okay, good to know. I should be able to craft. I just need 5 of you. And then for the Empower, a bunch of Restonia, Emberstone, aluminum, brass, and iron casings. Got you. And the Empower. Thank you. And then this guy, I can probably just set it up kind of simple in this shape, right? And then I need to connect it to power. So for these, the only thing that needs power is the display stands themselves. The actual Empower doesn't need that. I don't think there's a very pretty way to deal with this. It's gonna look messy no matter what I do. So I just need to make sure it's powered for now, right? So I can get a couple of things going. I promise once I get to the void world, things are gonna look so much nicer. Next up is a bunch of these empowered void crystals. You might as well make the block version because it uses the same things. So you actually save on resources here. And then you pretty much just put the block in the middle and then all the other stuff around. I don't think it matters where they are as long as they're on there. No? Okay, I figured it out. I just built it wrong. These guys have to be 2 blocks away from the center. So I'm going to have to rip apart all these cables as well. Give me 1 second. And there we go. It's a little slow, isn't it? Which does remind me, another thing I should probably craft like as soon as possible is the time in a bottle. And it's actually not that bad. And then craft this guy. There we go. So you pretty much just leave it in your inventory. And it collects time, and you can spend some of that time to speed up your machines. But we have the void crystal block, and then uncraft it. And I believe this is the portal to the void. Yes. There we go. Finally got it. I'm just going to put it down here. I can always move it around if I need to. And let's just say hello here. That's weird. I always thought it was purple. There's not much to it, but trust me, once we get into the pack, we're going to add so much stuff into here. So much spaghetti. Oh, it's going to look so cool. So I don't really have a good build idea for the base. And I think I'm going to be focusing on that like in bits and pieces throughout the pack. So I'm probably just going to set up a very simple platform for now. Not very pretty, but it'll get the job done for now. So What am I going to do out here first? I would like to set up a very simple ME drive network. So just a little simple something to store all of the stuff I have in the overworld, and then start slowly bringing machines here as I need them. And then there's another situation that I'm thinking about now, is how am I going to keep this powered? And I think I'm going to stick with a simple solution. We're not really going to rely on emerald power that long. I like to do it completely passive. So something like solar panels, which we don't really have access to right now because a lot of them need this Zanite stuff from the Aether. But I did get a comment in one of the earlier episodes about using the thermoelectric generator. And then if we want big power for the machines, we can use emeralds, just like we've been using here. So I'm not going to tear this down. I'm still going to use it. It's just that I'd like to keep the AE2 network powered separately so that we don't get locked out of the system. So let's go ahead and craft this guy first. So this guy's just the really simple solution. You pretty much just need to place it down, and then you have like something hot, and then something cold, and then something cold, and something hot. That's pretty much it. And this is probably why you should be reading quests. I just needed to collect a block of redstone, and I get one for free. That's okay. But aside from that, we should next start to get to work on the ME drive. So a bunch of the other AE2 components are going to need these processors, which is going to need the inscriber. So I'm going to make 5 of them for now. And, take advantage of this crafting table I have here now. So anything with EMC, it's automatically going to get pulled, and that's so helpful. And then whenever it does have EMC, I just put it back in there. Now I have infinite. So because I have fluids in my inventory, I can actually do this. For us to actually craft the processors, we need these engineering presses. So we may have to find them. And I believe one thing we can use to help us is the meteorite compass. And we obviously know where one of them is. So let's go hunting for some meteors, because at the center of those meteors, you have those sky stone chests, and they have the presses that we need. Okay, so we have the calculation press, and I'm going to have to find the others. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm a little bit scared to put on the slime boots. I keep saying slime boots. But I'm a little bit scared to put on the boots because I feel like I'm just going to go flying so far and then, land into a pit of lava. Okay, now I know one of the fastest ways to travel is through water, because the slime launcher also does the momentum while you're in the water as well. So you go flying. Hello, hunch. I have a hunch that the next meteor is going to have the things I'm looking for. Yeah, sorry. No, I'm not going to go underground for this. I'm just going to look for another one. What the heck is that? What are you? Am I going to fight it? Alright, I guess I have no choice but to fight it. You guys started the fight? Do I have to shoot the portal? I don't think so. I think I just have to fight everybody. Yeah, okay, that wasn't too bad. I just had to pretty much attack them until it's done. This might help me out with a little bit of Thaumcraft progress, so not too bad. Oh, that's straight up void metal. That's really useful, actually, right? Hello. Ooh. That's pretty good, too. I see a chest. I'm curious. What's in there? What are you? Thalmic slime. That's a big zombie, too. Yeah, we're pretty powerful. Crimson Gin. Alright, that sounds important. I might as well pick it up. That's packed ice, isn't it? Yeah. I was looking for this stuff. Throw that there. There we go. Now we have packed ice. That's going to be a little bit better than ice to work with a thermoelectric generator. Alright, fine. I keep finding them that are underground, so I'm just going to I'm going to dig in the center. Hopefully I find it. Definitely not a good idea. It's never a good idea to dig straight down, but I do have the climbing glove, so I can, stay up a little bit. Oh, okay, there it is. Yeah, it should spawn around the center of the chunk. Okay, we have silicon at least, but I'm still looking for engineering. Okay, what's going on? What is this? Get me out. It's a siren, right? No. I can get out. Okay, I'm free. I'm free. Yeah, I think I need to wear the earplugs, right? think there's like an earplugs item or something that I can use. Yeah, these guys. Oh, no, 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 no. Man, don't scare me like that. Yeah, I don't think it's here either. Am I missing something? I could have sworn they spawn in the center of the chunk, but if they don't, then... Oh, they don't always spawn in the center. Okay, okay, they're a little offset. Good to know. And there's still no engineering press. Okay, here we go. Hopefully this is the last one. There it is, finally. Honestly, this has probably been like my worst luck in meteors. I've had it before where the very first one has all of them. Okay, guys, guess what? I did end up getting the mic a little earlier, so if the video comes out a little bit late, that's exactly why. You know, it's pretty rare when Amazon promises that they will ship it on Thursday, but then the package gets here on Monday, so I was a little bit too excited and I just had to set up the mic, but I finally got it set up. It took me a little bit of tweaking and I think I got it to where I'd like it to be. You know, I can't guarantee that it's going to sound perfect. I would never guarantee that. There's always something to learn whenever I'm setting things up like this. But for the most part, I think I do like it a lot more than the last mic that I was using. And I mentioned it earlier, but just to say it again, last time I was using Elgato's Wave 3, and now I'm using the Elgato's Wave DX mic. And the main reason why I switched was to get away from USB mics. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but I'm just trying to go for a more hardware solution for my recording setup. You know, I can't 100% get away from software, but I think using a better connection through XLR is already a pretty big improvement. It might not sound any different to you. To me, it does, and I hope it's not because I'm just trying to justify me spending a good amount of money to get this. But from my testing, it does sound a little bit better. You know, and I'm going to use the rest of this video as a kind of benchmark recording test. I think that's what I will call it. Pretty much just trying to gauge if there's any other issues that I detect. So I'm going to consider this kind of like a live recording so that I can find some bugs and then I can fix them on the next video, hopefully. But yeah, hopefully it sounds pretty good. And let's get back to the episode. All right, so we have all the presses now. The next thing I want to do is set up the inscribers in the simple void world, just so that it gets out of the way of all of the mess, and then we start setting up a little something over here. For me to power it, I do want to start plugging in some thermoelectric generators. I have 6 Urlorium blocks, and what I can do with this is set them up in a diagonal like this, and then place thermoelectric generators on every face. And this is enough for, I believe it's 14 generators, so I'm going to craft some more. It shouldn't be too bad. I actually have a lot of the steel crafted, ready to go. But this is just a temporary power solution, and this is going to pretty much power our AE2 system over here, and also our little inscriber setup. And I'm also going to spend the time to make item conduits, because I really like these as item transport. They're not too expensive. Conduit binder is something you can just get EMC, and the pulsating iron nugget is just ender pearls and iron ingots. And we can put those in the alloy smelters we got last episode. So let me get everything ready, and then I'll set up a little power network. And here are the thermoelectric generators, all 14 of them. And then I also need another one of these energy cells from thermal expansion to store the power. And I totally forgot that I had that quest here to like give me another one. I guess we have 15 of them. I'm going to leave this one here for now. I only accounted for 14. I got another comment last episode. I really appreciate this one. It's this rain shield from random things. It prevents rain from falling on you in like a 5x5 chunk radius. It's so good because I was getting a little bit annoyed with rain lately. Okay, so I don't really have like a plan for how the build is going to look yet. So I'm pretty much just going to set things up wherever for now. But that's usually how I like to play modded Minecraft. I kind of just do things as I need them. So as I need more stuff, I'm going to start thinking about where they go and how things look. So for now, it's just going to be a very simple setup. And then doing it like this means that almost every single one has a temperature differential across it. For example, this one has hot and then cold and then hot and then cold and so on. The only ones that it doesn't really work are for the edge cases like this one over here. I can probably put uranium, but I'm not that power hungry. Again, I just need a very simple solution. But then I would connect all of them to flux ducts. It's not going to look very pretty. And I honestly don't know how to make this look better, but I guess this is how it's going to look for now. Output right there. And now we're getting, I don't really know how much I can tell, but we're getting a good amount of power. And then we can go ahead and connect our inscribers. So fun fact about these inscribers, you don't actually need AE connection. They work with regular RF. Starting out, you can just connect them like that and they work fine. And then we connect all of the conduits together. And then I even made a couple of these item filters. They also have EMC, so I'm just going to be piling them up whenever I can. And then we'll go ahead and say, I just have to make sure that it's a correct resource because this was the case in Divine Journey 2 where it used like a completely different material for some of these things. Yeah, you got to watch out for that. So this is where it gets a little weird. I don't know which silicon we craft because a lot of packs have like 1,000 different kinds of silicon and they all work. So I don't know which one we're going to be crafting in bulk. It looks like this is the one where we just smelt quartz dust. And it does have EMC, so we'll be using this one. And then give it the filter. We can give all of the resources. And they should automatically go into the correct spot. I don't have any pure Certus quartz yet. And this is pretty much going to be made in the overworld for now. I'm just going to throw a stack and get this ready. For some reason, this one doesn't need the extreme crafting table. Don't know why the Flukes one wants it. Okay, I got a couple. Should be able to put them in here. So this top one is going to be for engineering. This one is for calculation. This one is for logic. And then this one is for silicon. So now that they're all processing, we have to push everything over to the output crafter. And this one's also a little bit weird because if you didn't know about these inscribers, they are sided inputs. Which means if I look at this recipe for the logic processor, you want the top to be the logic circuit, you want the middle to be redstone, and you want the bottom to be silicon. I'm not sure if it lets you swap them around, but I'm just going to follow this. And we can actually do that pretty easily with color coding. So the top input, of course, goes to top. Side input is on the side, and the bottom input on the bottom. So the one in the middle is going to be for redstone. So I can say insert on red, and this one is going to be our redstone chest, an extract. It's going to be putting the redstone in the middle. And then these guys I want to extract on, we can say green, and insert on green on the top, so that it puts the printed stuff on the top. And then for the bottom one, which is our silicon, I can just set this to a different color, so let's say brown, and then set this to insert on brown. And there we go. So now we have any processor crafting. It's going to take a while. I can probably make these acceleration cards to speed things up. But the idea for this is just to leave this running in the background while I do other things. But anyways, I should be able to extract this. So now we have our finished products over here. Sweet. And just like that, it's kind of like our first semi-automation setup. Technically our second. I think the villager farm was first. And this is what we'll use to actually craft the ME drive, which is probably what's next. Okay, so I spent a couple of minutes looking at some recipes just so I can know what to make next. And I pretty much decided to go with 3 ME drives. I'm also going to need a ME crafting terminal. And for the 3 drives, I'm going to need 30 of these 1K storage cells. And then another thing I wanted to craft was this ME import bus. I have an idea for what to do with this, but I'll explain a little bit more when I actually craft it. I did let the inscriber setup process some things, and we got a stack of each of the 3 processors. And then another thing I'm going to want to craft is an energy acceptor to power all of this. I'm not going to move this setup just yet. I'm just going to leave it there. And once I get the advanced crystal growth chamber, I think is what it's called, I'm just going to replace that setup and then use that energy acceptor to make another controller. But I did leave these quartz chipsets to craft. And I believe this means I can craft another energy acceptor. Yep, thank you. And then I should have enough for the drives as well. The drives themselves aren't too bad. And then crafting the 1K storage components isn't too bad. It's just a bunch of Certus, redstone, and the logic processors themselves. And there we go. So there's 30 of them. And then I'm not going to turn them into the storage cells yet because they're not stackable. And I don't really have the space for that. So we'll hold off on that for now. So next up is the crafting terminal. This one isn't too bad. Just a crafting table, a calculation processor, which we have a stack of, and then all of these bits and pieces. So it looks like we can do everything, just fluix dust, logic processors, quartz, things like that. And then this is also pretty cheap. Probably going to be completing a lot of quests by accident as well. And then we have the ME crafting table. Probably my most favorite item in any mod of all time. Man, I love this thing. It makes my life so much easier. But with that, I should be able to set up everything now. So I'm just going to be putting the 3 drives right there. Put the terminal up there. And then for me to power the little network, we'll get the power from our thermoelectric generators. So now this is powered, right? Yes. I should be able to craft 30 of these guys. It's going to be filling up my inventory, but I can just do this. And then put everything else back in storage. Oh man, this is so good. I love this. And then give me more cells. Now I'm completely filled with these guys. And there we go. I'm about to dump them full of a bunch of stuff. It's going to be so good. Okay, so to actually move things over here, I'm going to use my sack of holding. I think this guy's empty. Oh, it's not empty. But pretty much what I'm going to do is bring all the crates over here, pick up everything, and then just throw them slowly but surely. And it looks like we were able to fill up almost all of one drive. So it's a good thing I crafted more of them. And yeah, that is pretty much everything. So I'm not going to take the entire base over there. I'm pretty much just going to move things as I need them. But I will take the crafting tables because I do need this for another project. Okay, so now that we have pretty much all of our stuff in the crafting terminal, I did want to work on this ME import bus next. Thank you. Okay, so this is what I want to do with this. So I'm going to be putting it right here. And also keep in mind that without a controller, you only have up to 8 channels available. So right now I'm using 1, 2, 3, 4 with the terminal, and then 5 with the import bus. So what I want to do with the import bus, I want to attach this to an ender chest. Should be able to craft this now because it's not too bad, right? It's just a bunch of wool. And we do have 4 purple blaze, and this should be enough to get us what I want to do. Ender chest. And then we'll just go ahead and put it right there. So the idea here is that while I'm on my adventures, I want to be able to put items into this ender chest so that it automatically puts it back into storage. This way I won't really worry about space whenever I'm out on my travels, and it lets me just explore for a lot longer. Now there's no way for me to actually get items from here just yet. I don't really know how to do that because I don't see like an infinity booster card. Yeah, I don't see this because this is usually what I would use to make the wireless crafting terminal and be able to access it from anywhere. So I might have to think of another solution for that. But for me to actually get into the ender chest, I need to craft an ender pouch and basically color it the same color here. I'm going to stick with white, white, white. And this is also not too bad. There we go. So now they're the same color, right? They're both white, white, white. So open it and it accesses it over here. And it even works cross-dimensionally. So if I put it here, it'll work just fine. And this also reminded me of something. I should chunk load this. I got to make sure to chunk load everything here. Otherwise, some important things can shut down, and I don't want that. Awesome. So we got a pretty simple applied energistics setup. And this is usually what I go for whenever I play any pack and it's not gated. It's usually one of the first things I do because having digital storage and a way to like easily access your items and also easily craft, this makes your life so much easier. So I almost always try to rush for it. But I did mention earlier in the episode that I did want to get into Botania soon. I don't really have the time to fully get into it, but I at least wanted to craft the Petal Apothecary to get started. So I have everything. I have the marble slabs, the runium, the fluix crystals, and the obsidian, but I do not have any of these petals. I know one way to get this really easily is to use floral fertilizer, but I think we should just do a little bit of exploration just to stretch our legs for a little bit. But yeah, it's like I mentioned, I don't really have a plan for a base yet. I always choose the path of the machinist, I guess you can say, and I end up building like a pretty massive yard sale, or a lawn base is what most other people call it. And if you've watched my stuff for quite a while, especially GT&H, I have a real bad habit of, saying that I'm going to build stuff. And then somewhere in the middle of the pack, I just stop. Because at that point, I'm like, oh, I just want to build machines because I love that. I'm not going to make that promise here because chances are it's going to happen again, right? I'll be building something and then it just ends up a square by the end of it. But I will try, all right? That's what I can promise. I will try. Hey, yo, chill. I'm having a monologue over here. I think a lot of it is just practice, right? I don't really give myself the practice necessary to build a cool looking base. So maybe this is the pack I'll do that. But we got a couple of these mystical white flowers. Go ahead and craft them into the petals, and I should be able to craft the petal apothecary in the basic crafting table. And there we go. I don't know how far I'm going to be getting into it, but the final goal that I want to do is get those special rings, like the Ring of Odin, and also the Eye of Flugel. And we get those from fighting the Gaia Guardian tier Mark II, I believe. So we're going to have to get into a good amount of Botania. Once we do that, we're going to get some pretty powerful stuff. And that Ring of Odin itself is a huge buff. Plus the flight is going to really help me build. But I'm going to try to keep that trend for this playthrough. Try to spread each episode doing something different so that I don't focus on just technology or just magic or just exploration, right? I think it'll be a lot more smoother doing it like that, right? Nice changes of pace throughout. But anyways, that is it for today. I appreciate your time and support as always. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.